Now part of the Darkcast Network. Welcome to Indie Podcasts with a dark side. In today's episode, I'm telling you a case that started out as a whirlwind romance, but quickly unraveled into a case of secrets and betrayals. Beneath the surface of a seemingly idyllic marriage lay a dark secret waiting to be found out. Unfortunately, they didn't have to wait too long. I'm telling you the case of Amanda Chapin right now on Love and Murder. Welcome, lambs. Welcome to a new episode of Love and Murder, your weekly true crime podcast telling you cases of heartbreak that turn to homicide. I'm your host, Kai, and if you're new here, I invite you to sit down, take a listen, and if you like it, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any other true crime episodes. If you're a returning lamb, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting me. Before we begin, I want to say that this episode and all my episodes are sponsored by my lambs in Patreon, patreon.com/love and murder. Don't forget that we have a November sale going on. You only have one more week to take advantage of it. 50% off. You get everything that I put out in Patreon. That's only $5 a month. At the end of November, it goes back up to $10 a month for that particular tier. If you want to take advantage of it right now, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/love and murder, and choose the November tier. We have a lot of crazy Kai rants in there. In the most recent Kai rants, I told of a case of a nun seen dragging a suitcase around, and you wouldn't believe what's in the suitcase. Patreon.com/love and murder. I'll tell you more about the Patreon at the end of this episode. In the meantime, though, grab your butts, grab your BJ's apple juice, murderandlove.com/BJ's, and let's get into some Love and Murder. This case starts when Amanda Chapin and Gary Chapin met online and things moved incredibly fast. They were married just a few months later in March 2022, and Gary's family was immediately suspicious of Amanda. They saw Amanda as a potential gold digger, which is, if somebody doesn't know what a gold digger is, I'm not going to assume everybody knows, but a gold digger is somebody, man or woman, who's more interested in the person's money than in the person themselves. So this is what they thought of Amanda. This is because 70-year-old Gary was a respected veterinarian who was known in the community for his dedication to animal care. Now, on the outside, the couple seemed content in their marriage. However, within weeks of getting married, 50-year-old Amanda began to take steps to secure financial control. So it sounds like Gary's family was right. Shortly after their wedding, Amanda forged the signature of one of Gary's children on a power of attorney document. This power of attorney gave Amanda complete control over his finances and decision-making. She then pressured Gary to modify his house deed, making sure that if he died, she would inherit the property. Which, why are you doing that, Amanda? You're in there for better or for worse, for sickness and in health. You don't know if he's going to die soon, so why are you doing that, Amanda? Through the months, she successfully isolated Gary from his family and friends. Then, from July to August 2022, Gary just kept getting sick. In early August, he inexplicably fell into a coma. Amanda called 911 and Gary lay in the coma for 4 days. While he was in the coma, doctors struggled to find out why he was even in the coma in the first place. It's only when they tested his blood and found barbiturates in his system that people really started to get suspicious. So 4 days later, when he regained consciousness, Gary's first concern was, where was his wife? And I don't mean he was suspicious of her. He was just like, I want to see my wife. Where is she? Doctors and the staff at the hospital, because of the suspicious nature of his illness, kind of advised him to stay away from Amanda. I would just watch her sleep with both eyes open. So when doctors told him that, Gary started thinking. And he started remembering that in July, he had experienced symptoms like vertigo. And that wasn't normal for him. He kind of thought it was old age, but now he went into a coma and the doctors are telling him this. So he started thinking about what happened on the day he went into the coma, the last day he could remember. And the only thing he could remember was he drank his morning coffee and then he woke up in the hospital. So this kind of started a period where Gary had to balance his recovery with trying to stay away from Amanda, kind of without letting Amanda know what was going on before she, took even more drastic measures to kill him. So with all this going on and Gary's family already not trusting Amanda, Gary's son really didn't trust Amanda. Well, one of his sons. You saw your father go into a coma. Nobody knew why. Then the doctors are telling you this, and you have to keep your father away from this woman. In September 2022, Gary's son filed a restraining order against Amanda on behalf of his father. During that same month, Amanda immediately violated the restraining order by sending Gary a suicide note via email. In the message, she denied the poisoning allegations and said that Gary's children were trying to, quote, destroy her. Quote, the only thing I'm guilty of is loving you so much. Literally, that's what she said. So much. The day after receiving the suicide note, Gary did the smart thing and he said, nope. He filed for divorce. During the police investigation into what happened, police uncovered some interesting information. Research about Amanda's past raised questions about her motives for marrying Gary, which all you have to do was ask the family because the family already figured it out. She'd lived in a bunch of different places, Florida, Jersey, Illinois, and she'd been arrested before. Plus, she'd declared bankruptcy before. I mean, that's not anything for you to be suspicious about. People move all the time. You don't know what she was arrested for. And people have filed bankruptcy doesn't mean they go killing people. They also looked into the July through August illnesses of Gary. And they found out that this was 3 poisoning attempts. The 3 times Gary got sick from July to August was 3 times that Amanda had been trying to poison him. So less than 3 weeks after that deed change that I told you about, Amanda started with her first attempt to poison her husband. She stole barbiturates, which is the same drugs that Gary used to euthanize animals in his veterinary practice. She stole that. And then during July and August, she mixed these stolen drugs into his coffee. On the occasion where Gary thought it was vertigo, Amanda then tried to convince him that he was having a stroke. And then 2 weeks later, he had a similar experience. And then the third poisoning incident was in early August. This is what made him fall into that coma. Then when Gary wouldn't wake up after getting the poisoned coffee, she waited 3 hours before calling 911. She was trying to make sure that he was about to die. Then within hours of Gary falling into a coma, Amanda accessed his personal email account. And she started forwarding conversations between Gary and his attorney, as well as communications with his children to her own email address. I wonder why. Why do you need the communication with his children? So with all that information, plus the restraining order violation that she did, this was enough for police to go and arrest her. And in March 2023, so the investigation took, October, November, December, January, February, March, 6 months. That's 6 months. So in March 2023, she was arrested and charged with attempted first-degree intentional homicide. When confronted by the police, Amanda denied the poisoning allegation, completely flat out said she didn't do it. She claimed Gary's illness resulted from his use of ivermectin, which she said he took because he didn't want to get the COVID-19 vaccine. And police were like, yeah, we already did his blood test. We already found what was in his system. So she was arrested, and when her trial started, it was widely covered in Wisconsin. Prosecutors painted Amanda as a manipulative woman who, within weeks of marriage, had allegedly taken calculated steps to assume control of her husband's estate, which is literally what she did. Gary testified in court also, and what he said was, quote, I never imagined someone I trusted could do something like this. It's a nightmare I can't wake up for. Amanda's defense initially attempted to argue that Gary's deteriorating health had nothing to do with her actions. Of course, my client is innocent, Your Honor. I don't know where he got those barbiturates in his system, but it was not my client. The attorney suggested that there was no direct evidence tying Amanda to the barbiturates found in Gary's system. Basically, they're saying that Gary could have done it himself accidentally, or someone else was trying to kill Gary, and then I guess Amanda found out about it and then took advantage of it. But then that means you're an accomplice. So either way, your defense sucks ass. However, the defense ended up having nothing when the prosecution brought the detailed toxicology reports and her recorded history of controlling Gary's finances. So after that, the defense literally had nothing. Damn it! In June 2023, the Lafayette County District's Attorney Office negotiated with Amanda's defense team. Of course they did, because why wouldn't they just say she's guilty and put her away for the maximum amount of time because she tried to murder somebody 3 times? But let's continue and negotiate with the defense, shall we? These discussions led to a significant modification in the charges. Of course it did. Prosecutors agreed to reduce the attempted homicide charge to a lesser offense as part of a plea agreement? Are you serious? After multiple pretrial hearings and mounting evidence, Amanda entered a no contest plea to reduce the charges to first-degree reckless endangerment. Are you serious? She tried to murder this dude 3 times. She forged financial documents and started stealing his money. And you reduced it to first-degree reckless endangerment? This plea means that she doesn't have to admit guilt, but she does accept that the court will treat the plea as equivalent to guilty. Also, this plea allowed her to avoid a lengthy trial. I mean, why are we considering her? Unless it was the victim or the victim's family who said, we don't want a lengthy trial. That's the only way I could see. But why are we considering what the hell she wants? Following the plea hearing, Lafayette County Circuit Court Judge Barbara W. McCoy ordered a precedence investigation. The charge of first-degree recklessly endangering safety, classified as a Class F felony in Wisconsin, carried a maximum potential sentence of 12.5 years in state prison. She tried to murder somebody 3 times. Poisoning. This is what she tried to do. 12.5 years? Seriously? The prosecution pushed the judge to at least give a 10-year sentence. 5 years of initial confinement followed by 5 years of extended supervision. The prosecution pushed for this? I would think the defense would have pushed for that, and the prosecution would have pushed for the maximum 12 years. Okay. Anyways, the prosecution said, quote, she engaged in behavior that showed utter disregard for human life. Yeah, so why are you trying to say 5 years and then 5 years of supervision? The prosecutor also pointed out that Amanda never took accountability or even showed remorse for what she did. Quote, the defendant is guilty. She entered that no contest plea. She agreed to the facts stated in the criminal complaint. She agreed that they are substantially accurate. Her defense asked that Amanda be sentenced to just probation or minimal incarceration. You know, she tried, but it wasn't her fault. These things happen. She kind of got these barbiturates accidentally, and then it just slipped into his coffee. It was an accident, Your Honor. So, if you could please just give her probation or, minimal incarceration, meaning she stays in the house, same as probation. But what type of shit? She tried to murder this guy 3 times. Then Amanda decided to address the court, and she took that opportunity to thank God, to thank her siblings, and thank members of her church for their support. So literally still no remorse, no apology, no accountability. She just acted like she was accepting an award. I'd like to thank my mother and my father. I'd like to thank my brother Simon for this. Like, what the hell is going on? So on August 2nd, Judge McCrory, and I apologize, I think I initially said Judge McCoy, but it's Judge McCrory, delivered her sentence. Amanda received, wait for it, you're going to choke if you're eating, so stop eating. 3 years in prison, state prison, 3 years of supervised probation. They immediately revoked her bond. She had a frickin' bond. When she was sentenced, they immediately revoked that bond, and that's what she got. 3 years in prison and then 3 years of probation. So this woman literally got a slap on the wrist. No! For trying to murder this guy 3 times. I know his family was pissed. I know he was pissed. Then the judge addressed Amanda directly after she sentenced her. Quote, "Your actions demonstrate a level of betrayal and selfishness that is hard to comprehend. You took advantage of someone who loved and trusted you. For that, you must be held accountable." How? How was she held accountable? You're saying this like you really stuck it to her. But how was she held accountable? After the sentence, one of Gary's neighbors said, quote, "Gary is such a kind man. To think someone would do this to him is heartbreaking. I just hope he finds peace after all of this." Now, my question, though, if you remember, she went to jail before. They never told us what she went to jail before for. So my question is, was this some part of a bigger plan? Was this something she'd done before? Or was it something that I guess she's dipping her toes in the murder scene for the first time? What did she go to jail for? These are the things I want to know. Has she married somebody before who was rich and then Black Widowed them? And now is she a serial killer? Like, there's so many questions left unanswered. And this actually makes you think also, you need to take your time getting to know someone. She met this guy, well, let me rephrase that. He met her online. He brought her into his life within months. Didn't really vet her. And his family was suspicious of her because they thought she was a gold digger. He's 70, she's 50. And it turned out the family was right, but in a horrible way. They thought it was going to be the Anna Nicole Smith situation, but this one was more Anna Anastasi, even though Anna Anastasi, it was a threesome and she killed her husband. Anyways, either way. But even if he got to know her, did a background check on her, if this is really what she was after, she would have played the role so well for however long and then probably done the same thing. So can you really ever get to know someone? That's a question. Do you think you could really know someone? Basically, my point is just be careful and be vigilant. Don't let anybody forge your children's name. Be vigilant with your finances. Be vigilant with your documents. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to say most people because I'm sure not all, but most people exhibit red flags. Be vigilant to those red flags. Her red flag, for instance, was alienating him from his family and friends. Why can't he see his family and friends? So that was a big red flag with her. Second red flag was forcing him to change his will. Why are you forcing me to change your will? Literally, we just got married. Is this why you married me? So for her, these were kind of the red flags. They didn't know she was forging the name and transferring funds, but she did alienate him and then force him to change his will. So these were huge red flags. Now, just to be clear, I'm not telling you to be overly suspicious or cynical. I'm just telling you to be cautious. That's it. Pay attention to red flags. And red flags isn't like, oh, he's not doing my nails or she's not making me a sandwich. Those are not red flags. Red flags are, I don't want you talking to anybody you know and anybody you don't except me. I'm your only friend and I'm your only family. That's a huge red flag. Hey, we just got married 2 weeks ago. Why don't you change your will to my name? That's a gigantic red flag. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that is all I have for you today. This was a case of a woman who really wanted that bag. Let me know your thoughts about this case in the comments below. Give me some other red flags that you could think of. Maybe we could help somebody that's in maybe not this situation, but in a situation where they gotta run. So give me ideas of red flags that we should be looking out for both men and women. Put them in the comments below and I'll read them in a future episode. So before I go, like I promised you, let me tell you a little bit about the Patreon. We have a sale going on right now, ending in a week. It is 50% off of the highest tier I have, which means that you get everything that I put out on Patreon. That's for only $5 a month. That ends at the end of November. So what kind of things do you get? You get case extra. Like for this case, you do have videos coming out on when Amanda pled no contest to what she did, basically, instead of pleading guilty. So that video is going to be coming out. You also get case extras like pictures, court documents, just whatever comes with the case you'll get. If it's the entire trial, you'll get videos of the entire trial. You'll get the court documents of the entire trial. You'll get pictures of the crime scene, pictures of the people involved, stuff like this. This is just case extras. You also get bonus episodes, so you'll get bonus Kai rants. And I choose the most jaw-dropping cases to make Kai rants about. The ones that I don't put out on my regular platform goes into Patreon. You also get a monthly bonus episode. So it's a full bonus episode. We might do serial killer corner. We might talk about a love triangle, just different things in those bonuses. We also have, just now starting, games, Get to Know Kai, where we play games, Would You Rather, or just some other games that I'm coming up with. You find out more about me. I answer your questions that you sent in or questions that I found on the internet where you can get to know someone better. You get to help shape the future of Lamb, where I ask you, what would you like to hear more of? We also have some quizzes coming out. You get to see behind the scenes of my life. You get to see behind the scenes of the show. I have bloopers, all of that. You get all of this in the Patreon for only $5 a month. So take advantage of this sale because you might regret not joining now, but by that time it's going to be $10. So take advantage of that sale before the end of November. Patreon.com/loveandmurder. We would love to have you over there. You can also email me if you have any questions about the Patreon before you commit to joining. You could email me at noconductradio@gmail.com. I would love to answer your questions. But if you're ready to join right now, go to the Patreon, patreon.com/loveandmurder, and choose the November sale tier to take advantage of that. Once you join under that tier, and if you don't leave, you are grandfathered into that $5 fee for as long as you're an exclusive Lamb. Patreon.com/loveandmurder. And that is all I have for you today. And as we end every full episode, I want to remind you that it's all love and no murder, y'all. Don't forget to share this episode, I forgot, with everyone you know and everyone you don't. So go ahead and hit the share icon and share it with everybody in your text message and your WhatsApp. Then head on over to one of our social medias, TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. Get one of our clips and share it to your social media. Everybody you know and everybody you don't. And I'll see you later. Bye.